Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, AEW listening to the fans and making moves.
Brandy Rhodes undergoes surgery.
Drew McIntyre on not making moves.
And I'm going to tell you why WWE's press conferences absolutely suck. I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Andy Murray.
And this is not the What Culture Wrestling Studio.
Speaking of making moves, where the hell are we? What's this? Like, look at this little freak.
Hey.
Who's that?
Didn't we give this boy a name last time?
We did. I think it was Gary Mortal Kombat.
There he
That's
is.
him.
Anyway, this is the news.
We've got the Prince of Paris himself. That's him.
Jesus.
Just destroying the gaming merch. Let's kick this one off by talking about some changes that AEW have made in response to some fan criticism. It is moving the date of the All Out pay-per-view.
Yes.
So AEW themselves have confirmed this. But instead of holding the show on the 1st of September, which would be 1 week after All In, which would be the same as last year, the company has now moved it to September 7th. So they've moved it 6 days later, 1 weekend later.
A Saturday?
Yeah.
Yes!
Perfect. That's what I like. That's what I like to hear. So they'll have 2 Saturday pay-per-views in a row with that and All In. Or maybe All In's on a Sunday.
Maybe Sunday. No, I've seen that. I'm thinking of the poster with the last year's date on. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. But hey, look, they've moved it. And according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, this is due to fan concerns about All In and All Out being too close together. So now they're 2 weeks apart rather than 1 week apart. On top of all of this, AEW will be filming a Rampage and Collision that Friday. Here's AEW in the Chicago area as well, because All Out is always Chicago, of course. So they've moved it a little bit further apart. It's not a huge gap. Does it make much of a difference, do you think? 2 weeks versus 1?
I'll take anything I can get at this point. I thought it was. I was sort of out of the loop, obviously, last year with Eric being born. But I was just like,
kind
sorry,
of a big deal.
What? You're doing back-to-back pay-per-views? What is this? TNA starting up again? Like, they would have had, what, 1 round of television, basically, in between the two. Yeah, I think I'd take it. I'd prefer it to be a few more weeks away, but I think this is for the best for everyone, because at least you can, react to what happened at All In and then set stuff up for All Out, over that couple of week period. All In is on a Sunday, by the way.
There we go. There we go.
25th of August, I believe, just off the top of my head. But yeah, I always understood why they did it. All In was where it was because that's the date that they could get with Wembley and blah blah blah. Taylor Swift, etc. And All Out was it Memorial Day weekend or whatever it was?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
and Chicago, etc., etc. But yeah. It's nice to hear that they are taking on board fans' concerns and changing things around.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a situation where they can't really win, right? Because they've pushed it back a week. Whether or not it makes a big difference in terms of the build is in the eye of the beholder, I think. But if you then push it back another couple of weeks and have like a 3 or 4 week gap, the problem is it becomes closer to the late September. Is it Wrestle Dream the next pay-per-view after that?
Got lots, haven't they now?
Yeah, they do. So like it's kind of a can't win situation, and one that I don't know if it'll make a huge difference, but it is an extra week of TV. I think it's good that they actually at least listen to people.
Yeah, I hope selfishly, and from what I've heard from you guys when you went last year, that they do more matches one-on-one than just, we'll do loads of multi-man matches to set up the singles matches at All Out, for example. Yeah,
don't use All In as an all-out setup show. That would be...
It's Wembley, it's like 80,000 people.
It's the biggest show in the company history, and it was a bit... I really enjoyed All In, but definitely I think the criticisms regarding the multi-man booking were valid. But... good to listen to people.
Former star of AEW, Brandy Rhodes, big update on her. Concerning but ultimately reassuring updates on her.
Seems.
You may have seen the image that was doing the round on X of her hand with loads of tubes and stuff going into it. And she's clarified with the tweet that went along with this, saying 3 years of pain with no answers. Maurice's story, Maurice Mizanin, of course, encouraged me to press on. Many appointments later, we found the answer. Stage 4 endometriosis. Successful surgery today. Brandy continued. Ladies, listen to your bodies. We don't have to live with pain. Advocate for yourself. Finally on the road to recovery. We have to talk more about women's health. Love you, Cody Rhodes. I'm so blessed with your love. Endometriosis, according to the NHS, I thought the best place to go for a description of that, is a condition where tissue similar to the lining of the womb grows in other places such as the ovaries and fallopian tubes. It's stage 4, the most severe form of this chronic disease. Not like life-threatening necessarily, but all I read about when I was looking at this up was the severe pain that women go through, and as exemplified by Brandy's tweet here, the slightly dismissive nature of doctors of like, you're a woman, you've got vague tummy pain, that just comes with being a woman. I'm glad she's got this sorted out, and the surgery went well, and just to repeat what she said, really, listen to your bodies.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds rough as hell.
Yeah.
And I'm glad.
3 years.
3 years to live with chronic pain is, lots of people live with chronic pain all their life, but for any period is absolutely brutal. So I'm glad that she's had this cleared up. I enjoy Brandy Rhodes a lot as a performer. I think she brings an element of chaos to proceedings a lot of the time that is just simply fun to observe. But also, it was earnestly really nice seeing her at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, it's Cody's big moment. Why not? Why not? Get her involved. And then Cody, of course, has had a little nod to who the hell told you it was open mic night and all that stuff as well. So obviously, they're a family now. They, Cody, Brandy, Liberty, Pharaoh counts as a family member, if you ask me. If you don't like dogs, chances are I just don't like you as a human being, Michael Hamflett. But jokes aside, I'm glad she's doing well. I'm glad she finally got the answer she was looking for, and the treatment seems to have been effective, and she's doing okay.
Yes. Yeah, whether it's man or woman, whatever, if you've got pain, don't just soldier on through. I'm so
it's
for
nonsense.
people just like, oh, I'll be fine.
It's nonsense.
Get it checked.
Get yourself checked out, get yourself fixed up wherever you can.
Yes.
Let's talk about Drew McIntyre. He has been speaking to PW Insider. He never speaks to PW Insider, so this is interesting. But he's done a full-on interview with the outlet for their Elite subscription service. And one of the things he spoke about was whether or not he considered leaving WWE. His contract was up.
Yeah.
He re-signed. His contract was apparently in the form of a sword given to him by Dwayne Johnson.
I think in order to get the contract, Drew had to pull the sword out of a stone.
That's right. Epic. Great stuff. Dwayne's the best guy alive, isn't he?
See that shot of him as, what's his name, Mark Kerr?
He looks like a different human being.
Who the hell's that guy?
I thought it was CGI. I was like, what the heck? That's not The Rock. Anyway, Drew has said that wrestling elsewhere, going elsewhere, was never a consideration. Which is exactly what I would say after resigning somewhere, regardless of whether or not it was. But I'll read the quote. It was never a consideration. I'm wrestling with WWE. I don't think in the sense that I'm going to wrestle somewhere else. This is where I want to wrestle. I don't want to be anywhere else. But our family has gone through a lot over the past year. Things in my family, unfortunately... things in my own family, and my wife's sister unfortunately passed a year ago. That was a very difficult time. I felt like I'm going to have to take some serious time for my family. There was reports of him taking some time off once his contract expired to figure a few things out. There was a period where I was like, maybe I'm going to have to take a little break and come back in some uncertainty. Thankfully, as a family, we came together and WWE gave me the time I needed during that period, and in the end, we came together as a family. We had a conversation about what was best for us. The company was unbelievable with that, and thankfully, everyone is in a great place right now. So, good to hear, obviously. Good to hear he's doing well. I imagine that Drew, like Seth Rollins, who recently resigned, got paid a massive bag.
Yes.
And I do think that this is just a great place for him at the moment.
Yeah, like you say, whilst he's saying now it was nowhere else I was going to go, I've no doubt he probably entertained an offer from AEW at the least, or at least suggested that maybe I will go and talk to AEW to WWE so he could increase the money that he's getting paid, because he quite rightly deserves it, as you say. Also, a quick reminder there, and I'm as guilty of it as anyone, that speculating on what wrestlers are up to doesn't always just boil down to, maybe they want to go and work over there or they want to get more money. They could be having personal stuff that we just have no idea about. Like if he'd have let his contract expire, we'd have been like, oh my God, where's it going to go? And he just probably just wanted some time to sort out some family stuff. But yeah, I'm glad he re-signed, just like Seth. You sense, Becky sort of alluded to, maybe when I go, it's not going to be the same place as when I came in. I think she's going to re-sign as well.
Yeah, me too.
But I do enjoy a good jump from company to company. I hope to see some more of them soon.
It's good for the business.
Yeah.
It's good for the business, especially when someone has been locked in one place for ages and ages. It's cool to see them going elsewhere. It was cool to see, look what Cody's done in WWE, right? And obviously loads of people have jumped from WWE to AEW and done well as well. But it's just cool.
Christian Cage fight for the title.
Boom, there you go. Headlining
Swerve
another
is champion, I should say.
Yeah, headline. Yeah, there you go. Swerve left bloody hit row with Top Dollar. Shout out. I like Top Dollar.
Great interview with AJ Francis from on our YouTube channel right now.
Yeah, he's a fun guy, and he does a lot of good for his community as well. So I'm not ribbing on them. It's just like, look, going from a stable that was never really treated seriously on the main roster to being world champion, that's a pretty good jump. And look, you can sit here and list names that have gone back and forth and not done as well. That's fine. You can do that. But I just like seeing people jump ship. I think it's fun.
Absolutely, yeah. Really excited to see what Drew does next with CM Punk as well.
This TV's really warm behind your head.
It's lovely in here.
How do they do it in here?
Maybe we'll commandeer this space a little bit.
How do you do it? Speaking of how do you do
our
it?
chairs are like...
Yeah, I'm not
spine
sure.
hurts.
I'm not sure I want to sit on this sofa
Some
much.
questionable stains, I will say.
Yeah,
that.
they're...
Anyway, Andy.
What have they been eating on here, man?
Andy,
I don't know.
how come you look so handsome? Andy, would you ever consider co-hosting the news with Taylor Swift? It's hardball questions like these you can expect at WWE press conferences, innit?
Yeah. Would you wrestle Taylor Swift, you Sky?
Andy, your news has the momentum of a runaway freight train.
Why are you so great? WWE, they're fun. They're funny, right?
Look,
they're funny.
Matt Camp, a former WWE broadcaster, on his show, the Wrestling Matt, has sort of...
Did you get that?
Yes. Pulled back the curtain somewhat as to why the press conferences are the way that they are. Basically, they're seen as part of the show internally, and effectively, they want them to be as close to scripted as they can be. Matt Camp revealing, in his words, shout out to Fightful for bringing this all together. I put media in quotes because you guys know where I worked. I worked in WWE. I said, listen, I just want to cover the show as a credentialed press member. I should say this is the Survivor Series 2022 presser, where he was a credentialed media representative.
Despite working for WWE.
He says, obviously, none of that is real or anything. It's a scripted show. Everything about it is scripted. They just want to have these post-show press conferences. Chris Legentil, who's WWE's head of PR, approved Camp's request because he knew he wasn't going to say anything crazy. And Matt himself says nothing crazy was going on at the time, not like it's been in the last few months where Triple H has fumbled and stumbled at some of the questions about a lawsuit or Drew Gulak, and then continued by confirming that press conferences are part of the show. They want fans in there, they want people that want to be part of the show, and they don't want to mess with their part of the show. The press conference is part of the show. Does Triple H come out at the end and talk about setting all these records? Yeah, that's the real part, but they want this to just be an addendum. We wrap things up, we let people speak a bit. For the most part, they want softballs right. That's why there's been criticism with some of these questions. I did that a few times, probably 5 or 6 times. Yeah, I mean, there was all the buzz, obviously, about the reporter asking the questions about the things that WWE don't want to talk about. All they want is, wow, this was a fantastic show, right?
Why are you so great, Papa H? That's it. And this Matt Camp kind of confirms them here. I mean, that's a farce, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, can I be a credentialed media member when I work for you? What? But yeah, if they see them as part of the show, for me, there's like a transparency problem there, right? Like, you can't present this thing as like a sport, like whatever. We've got media members in. It's like what AEW does, right?
Or UFC.
And yeah, there you go. And obviously there are problems with how many press conferences are handled in many sports, including AEW and the UFC.
Yes.
But you can't sit there and present this environment where it's like, we've got reporters asking questions, and then behave like an absolute baby, like Triple H did at the Backlash press conference when Lucas Sharpio asked him the question about Drew Gulak's WWE release and whether or not it was related to Ronda Rousey's allegations against Drew Gulak. When Triple H, instead of he didn't even address the Drew Gulak Ronda Rousey thing.
I think they'd have like PR trainings to just tackle that in case they got asked that question when they were, I don't know, chatting to Lad Bible or something.
You'd think
in the
so.
UK.
You'd think so, right? But yeah, he swerved that part completely. Yeah. He went off on one on Fightful and PW Insider, and then he sent them baskets of cheese to apologise. And it's like, he just sat there like a gotten two kids.
It's all basket cheese.
I mean, I don't want it from them.
Yeah.
I don't want it from them.
Basically, they need to follow the example of Premier League press conferences, because then you get things like, come on, man, we are Champions League, dilly ding, dilly dong. Or my personal favourite, where a manager got pissed off at a reporter for suggesting something. He said, "You, sir, are an ostrich." Yeah, it's all part of the show. It's all very controlled.
Yeah, I mean, we have fun watching these press conferences after the show because some of the questions are just bananas.
I don't think I've ever watched... I know, I've watched this one. I was about to say I don't think I've ever watched a full one.
Yeah.
I watched this one.
We've watched the Taylor Swift one many times.
Yeah.
It's just like, what's going on here? But look, if they want to present it as this kayfabe scripted thing and as part of the show, I think that's actually totally fine. But you can't then invite actual journalists and get pissed off when they ask actual journalists questions. Like Lucas Sharpio said, he was speaking to John Pollock and Brandon Thurston. He said that a member of WWE's PR team came up to him afterwards and said that was a stupid thing to ask. You're like, what?
Yeah.
It's a press conference. Like, you getting pissed off at people for doing their jobs.
One opportunity to interview, people...
One-to-one, it's unprecedented access.
And I'll say from personal experience, having been to an AEW press conference, I've asked questions there before, and I've never had anyone before or after say to me, "You shouldn't have said that," or "You should ask a question about this."
Yeah, there you go.
A fair assessment to it, but
I mean, like, not to make it an AEW WWE thing, but Tony Khan sitting there with his little hat answering questions about AEW's, various allegations against wrestlers. There, like, there are ways of handling these things. I would say AEW generally does it a lot better than WWE, but at the same time, it's a two-way thing. If you're the company, you can't get pissed off when people ask real questions. And at the same time,
Dana White. I've watched that happen a few times on the UFC press conference.
He is a lunatic. And at the same time, if you're attending these things, don't go and ask if the wrestler wants to wrestle against Ed Sheeran in the main event of SummerSlam. It's just weird.
Kick that guy's ass. I'll whoop his ass.
I'd beat Ed Sheeran's ass as well. Just elbows.
Apparently a really nice bloke.
He probably is. I'm not going to beat his ass. What am I talking about?
Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCultureWWE on X, of course, you want to get in touch with us. Richard Ralston II gives us our first question today. Cheers to this, Rich. With Solo saying that he's following the Tribal Chief's orders, what if he's actually putting together a new bloodline for The Rock? The Rock didn't lose at WrestleMania, but Roman did. This allows The Rock to say he's the real head of the table.
Well, that's almost certainly what's happening, right? That's almost certainly the story. Solo is definitely talking a bunch of pish in various situations to fit his narrative as a heel, and I do believe that the payoff will be some kind of Roman-led faction versus some kind of Rock-led faction, for sure.
I haven't really paid him much. I've just assumed when they've been talking. I need to go back and watch the footage now, because I feel like maybe Paul Heyman's never said, "Have you spoken to Roman Reigns?" Maybe he's just said, "Have you spoken to the Tribal Chief?" And I always thought Solo was just BSing him basically and saying, yeah, and he said, "I'm in charge now." But imagine, if they were like, "Oh no, I've been chatting to the real Tribal Chief, The Rock." I like that. Yeah.
Well, if it's Rikishi, could be. Why haven't they used Rikishi in this?
I don't know.
Strange,
someone needs a goddamn stink face.
Yeah. Why not? Who's he stink facing? Let us know in the comments section below.
Very
Dominic
good.
Mysterio would be really funny. That would be really funny. Could you do that?
He thinks, do the classics bait and switch where he thinks like Mammy's going to stink face him or whatever. And then they're like, "Get out of there."
How do you do it?
Mitchell Gilling is our second question of the day. Mitchell says, "Hey guys, hope you're both well. Since WWE has some smaller wrestlers on the roster now, would you like to see Papa H introduce a light heavyweight championship if they booked it seriously? I think it could be a lot of fun."
No. Primarily because of the shrinking of pro wrestlers in general, right? Previously, when WWE had light heavyweight championship and WCW had the cruiserweight championship, there was a clear line between who was a heavyweight and who was a cruiserweight or a light heavyweight. Because your main eventers were 6'7" and above, and giant and jacked and massive and huge, it was like under 230 pounds?
Something like that, yeah.
So that's like a heavyweight now, right? Wrestlers in general, smaller wrestlers have more opportunities to succeed in main event slots, which I believe is a good thing. There are fewer giants, fewer big lumbering dudes, which actually I think is a bad thing, because I love big lumbering, just gigantic.
Bryan Danielson Satnam Singh tonight on Dynamite. Yes, please.
This is the kind of freak stuff that I'm into. But yeah, I just don't think there's a wide enough gap for this to be a viable thing.
No.
And WWE's got enough titles.
Yeah, they don't need any more titles. At most, they need maybe a women's mid-card title if you want to do something like that. But I wouldn't do this. You've literally just launched the WWE Speed title. Not that Ricochet exactly wears it on television. We pitched, by the way, on the Raw review that Bron Breakker should win that because he wins every match in sub 3 minutes by killing people.
Why the hell not?
It's
Why,
the best.
Why the hell not? Put it on TV.
But
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, and I also I'd be worried that would like segregate certain wrestlers off, and like Danielson versus Satnam Singh, or Wesley versus Obafemi in NXT, for example. I like the dynamic of like, how the hell's this little guy going to beat this big guy?
Yeah, it's fun. Rey Mysterio versus all the giants.
Yes, and there's a lot less likelihood than like it was in the old days that they just have the light heavyweight champion lose to someone who needs to set up as a world champion contender.
There you go.
Senor Benja gives us our final question of the day. Great to hear from you as always. Buenos dias, says Benja. Is it feasible to be cautious with the hype around the Wyatt 6? Booking is complicated. Those monsters will eventually get a loss and be pinned, but the no-selling and dominance could be even more damaging by being boring. This sort of hits on something that you and I have spoken about. I think it may have done this on camera, but it's like excitement mixed with slight concern about how this Wyatt 6 is going to come out.
Yeah, I think it's very fair to... Like, I wouldn't want to sit here and go, you should not be excited, person. Because, like, if you're into that style of presentation, and a lot of people are, it's extremely interesting from that aspect, right? And also, like, Bo Dallas has been through hell and deserves something nice to happen. And also, like, I love Eric Rowan, so why the hell not?
Yeah, great they've re-signed him.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, by all means, get fired up for it. But, you know, it is also pertinent to speak about booking concerns. It's very difficult to book this kind of character. History has told us that. Even with some of Bray's, booking, like years and years and years ago. It's kind of like what happens when they lose and all, and how do you do it without, like, violating the rules of your sports entertainment universe. So, yeah, I think that if you're a more wins and losses in-ring centric fan, you are right to hold those concerns. And also, hey, if you just like the universe that Bray sculpted and created and these characters inhabit, be excited as hell. Both sides, totally valid.
Yeah, I'm loving the teasers, and you go into the QR codes, and you go, well, that means that, and that is an allusion to this, and what have you, and the fact they're sort of acknowledging it more on television is really exciting, and I don't know when on earth it's going to happen either, when they're going to show up, or how that's going to present itself. At the end of the day, still someone's going to have to grab a hold. That's the difficulty. But if they can just be presented as a dominant faction without too much supernatural bollocks, I think that's the best way of doing it. But also, right now, interesting where they land in terms of, like, rocking the apple cart. You want Cody facing the Wyatt 6? Do you want the Judgment Day? I don't know what happens there, but it's going to be a fun ride nonetheless. But let us know your thoughts on that and everything we've discussed in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, and hey, you need something else to entertain you, why not check out this video right here?
It's a big old video.
Oh, yeah.
Gigantic. See you later. Bye.